Great, thank you, Lewis. I'm really pleased that you're able to join us for the next session today. I think after that fantastic video, everyone will agree that Lewis needs no further introduction, and hopefully soon you might be as famous as Nala, you never know. But Sumit gave me a brief introduction, but for those that in the room that don't know me, my name is Simon Smallwood. I'm the Head of Partnerships and Enterprise for WorldFirst in the UK and Europe. And it's really great to be here today, here in Berlin, to talk to Lewis and to provide you with some insights. The thing for me that really stood out about that video and was really interesting from our conversations, Lewis, is the number of different pivots that you've had to make in your business since you set up. And I think one of those actually has a link here to Germany. It'd be interesting to hear more about that.
Well, firstly, Simon, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here. So at the start of COVID, January 2020, was actually in Nuremberg, setting up for the toy show. And the day before the show, the first COVID case outside of Italy was discovered in Nuremberg. So, that trade show was pretty quiet.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. And in terms of the time frames for the pivot, how quickly did you make those decisions to move into making the hand sanitizer?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I think it was a day in March when Italy actually went into lockdown that it really hit that this was going to be significantly going to impact the business. So, about 3 o'clock that afternoon, we decided we're going to make hand sanitizer. It was going to be in demand. It was very similar technically to a lot of the products we make, being an alcohol gel. It was designed on eBay by 5, and 9 o'clock the next morning we'd already sold 200 units.
That's an amazingly quick turnaround. And what did that sales growth look like in terms of over the coming weeks?
By July we were shipping about 3 lorry loads a week, so about 80 pallets.
Okay, fantastic. No, that's it's an incredible story. And I think also what's interesting is how you had to adapt to some of the changes to your normal business practices that you'd be going through on a day-to-day basis. Can you give us some examples?
Sorry.
Yeah, no. So you're thinking about the costs in terms of cost inflation.
I mean, before COVID, we were buying alcohol at £900 a tonne, and by COVID, it was £8,500 a tonne. So everyone thought we made loads of money, but it was really the chemical companies that took advantage of COVID. Yeah,
and I think even buying bottles, you mentioned, was a challenge sometimes.
Yeah, everything went to performer. Everyone had to be paid up front, and deliveries that were due sometimes just didn't turn up. So.
Yeah, and if suppliers are requiring payment up front rather than providing you with credit terms, and that obviously has a big impact on
big cash flow
on your cash flow. No, that's fantastic. Now, I think as we've heard today, WorldFirst, we want to make it easy to do business anywhere. You've been working with WorldFirst since 2016. It would be great if you can tell us a little bit about how you use WorldFirst and how it helps you avoid some of those challenges in your business on a day-to-day basis.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we use WorldFirst in 3 ways. So. Predominantly, we use it to repatriate funds from 8 different Amazon marketplaces and some of the smaller marketplaces in Europe and the US. We then use it to pay suppliers, mainly in Asia and India. And then thirdly, we use the local account, so customers, they get priced in local currency and then they pay our local bank account.
Fantastic. And I know from many of the discussions that we've had that international growth and looking at new markets is a key objective for you. What are the key considerations and challenges for you when you're appraising and assessing whether to move into a new market?
First of all, will be how competitive we would be. Have we got a unique USP? How would the products stack up against local competition, price-wise, and then regulatory compliance.
Yeah, and on that regulatory front, I think there's some interesting quirks that people in the room might not necessarily assume. For instance, selling into the single market in Europe. What does that actually look like in reality?
I mean, if we take pet shampoo, it's not a regulated product, so it should be simple. But for example, in the UK, we classify it as a human cosmetic. If we go into most European countries, it's a CLP, so a chemical product. But then certain European countries have classified it as a detergent or as a hygiene product under a national regulation. So there's 4 different regulations we have to comply with just to sell into the European market.
And is that similar in a market like North America, for instance?
US it's a chemical regulation, but then we have Prop 55 in California, so there's 2 different ones to comply with there to avoid any warnings on pack.
Okay, fantastic. And In terms of some of the information that we shared with you today, particularly around the sort of new products and services that we might be launching in the future, is there anything specifically you think is going to be really meaningful for Rhymes Cosmetics in the future?
I think your app, I mean, I travel a lot, I'm away from home a lot, so to be able to go on the app and just see what balances we've got or to make a payment quickly would be really useful.
Fantastic. And I think you mentioned earlier you've got 19 trade shows running up until the end of the year, so it's going to be keeping you busy.
19 this year, so.
Yeah, fantastic. And in terms of your sales growth, particularly online, are you seeing most of that growth from marketplaces or from other online channels that you're selling through?
We are B2C predominantly via marketplaces, but we've seen really good growth on TikTok in the UK. So we're looking to similar marketplaces overseas, the social, the influencer avenue as well, and really expanding to retail and distribution channels as well.
Yeah. And I believe Nala's got his own TikTok channel as well, so
yes.
that helps with sales there. So that's fantastic. And what would you say is your key USP in terms of, and when you're talking about the business that makes you different to competitors or other?
I think we were able to act quickly because we manufacture all our own products. So from product formulation development all the way through to delivery to the end consumer is all in-house. So as we control that whole journey, it allows us to adapt quickly.
Yeah, and obviously when we've been talking today, the amount of work that you have to do and the understanding you have of selling into different products, from what information needs to be included on packaging and all of these different factors, that also puts you in a strong position when you're looking at new international markets.
Yes.
Yeah. And which of the markets, I think, if you're looking ahead, are most interesting for you to expand into next?
I mean, this year is very much about Europe and the US, but going into next year, really got my sights on Asia and the Middle East.
Yeah, okay. And that's a call out as well to my WorldFirst colleagues in the room. I've already said, Jim, down in Australia, we're going to provide Lewis with some support, and also in the China market. So we'll do what we can to help you and support you there. So, and what would you say your goal is, ideally, for the business in the medium term?
I think for body care, there's a real gap because there's lots of strong national pet kind of grooming companies, but no one that really is strong in more than one market. So we're hoping to create something that's strong in multiple markets. Fantastic.
And that fragmentation, I guess, and your understanding of the market puts you in a strong position to deliver something there.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. Okay, well, really appreciate your time today. We wanted to give everyone the opportunity, if anyone has any questions that they wanted to ask Lewis, then please feel free. There we go. I think the gentleman there in the jacket.
Thanks, Sebastian. Hi. One of the interesting ways for me would be literally the growth. What helped you most to promote the brands and really catch on, get an audience? I've checked you out. You're on Amazon, of course, as well.
I mean, Amazon's really strong, and you can obviously run ads and just make sure. A lot of our competition, the listings are quite poor and quite dated, so that's given us an opportunity. But we're really aggressive on in person, so trade shows, consumer shows as well, to kind of get that brand awareness out there.
So not even much of social media ads and everything, but it's trade shows?
We don't really do social media ads, but TikTok. I mean, for example, we sent 1,200 influencers product this year so far in the UK. So, I think we've got about 30 million views on TikTok this year so far for body care in the UK. Yeah, so that's really important for the brand awareness too.
Nice, thanks.
Fantastic. And I think you mentioned in terms of the brands, because you have a number of brands that you're promoting. So it'd be good maybe if you could provide a summary, because it's not just the body care and the hand sanitizer, is it?
No, I mean, we started with Moon Creation, so we're Europe's leading manufacturer of party and festival and Halloween makeup, which is very seasonal, very niche, but we're the main player in that. Body care is the pet care. We've got Voyage, which is a bath salt range, and Drawer, which is a natural skincare range.
Fantastic. And going back to Sebastian's question, I think you are still selling the hand sanitizer as well. It's not an insignificant...
still strong. UK only, but we are the top in Amazon UK for sanitizer still.
So who'd have thought all those months after COVID? Are there any other questions or anything anyone wants to ask? I think we've got one over here on the right. Yeah.
Hi, Luis. What are you selling your products on which platforms? And do you have any financing needs? How do you solve the problem?
So marketplaces, we're on Amazon, we do EU8, Pan EU, US, Canada and Australia. We tried a little bit with Cdiscount, but didn't do much. We do Walmart in the US now. And TikTok Shop is quite strong in the UK. Finance.
Yeah. Do you have any finance needs? How do you solve the problem?
I mean, I think we will as we grow, because we've got quite an aggressive expansion strategy. Right now, it's been self-funded from business growth, a bit of property, and yeah. So.
All right. Thank you.
I think over Sebastian it again.
What's the percentage of your own web shop?
Under
or is
1.
Amazon just like rocking it all?
0.5%. It's so small. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I think we've got a question here at the front with Jim.
Thank you. Congratulations on the amazing growth. Well done. And to be able to pivot so many times and so quickly and be where you are today, it's a testament to your entrepreneurial spirit and resilience. So well done. Just a question on how you see the future of retail in a way. We see a lot of traditional retail bricks and mortar stores closing down and businesses moving online, but there are some brands and I think you mentioned potentially moving the other way and moving into retail. Is that something that you see as part of your future growth as well?
I do. I mean, I think retail is struggling, particularly certain industries. Pet's quite unique. Pet's growing, so pet stores are actually doing quite well in Europe and the UK, it looks like. But yeah, we do. When we create a brand or a new product, we look on Amazon predominantly. We find a niche, and then when that's successful, we're then using those funds to try and enter the traditional bricks and mortar market.
Away from Amazon, looking at Walmart coming over the hill, are there any others that you're looking at to move into? And how do you decide which platforms to go on?
I think our next focus will be, I think Lazada and Tmall are particularly interesting to me now. There's no strategy really. I mean, we've got a few brands, so we'll look at a market we're targeting, see what works, what price points, if that product's even going to appeal to that market, and then see if there's any regulatory hurdle that will stop us, and if there's not, then that's, yeah, so we've always stuck to the traditional Western markets, but yeah, I think we will, it's kind of flat, so now it's time to look at, further afield and the bigger opportunities overseas.
I think you mentioned earlier Southeast Asia is particularly interesting, and they love their pets as well. Yeah. So fantastic. Any other questions, or we hold it there? Well, I think we've got one more over here on the right.
Lewis, Andy Davidson from Avask. Great to see that you're one of our clients. One of the questions I've got for you is that what advice would you give to businesses that have grown like yours in trying to manage the increasingly complexity that's going to come all of our way?
In terms of tax, or?
So, exactly, all of that. Tax, cross-border movement, in terms of how you started and overcame it, but as you continue to grow, what are the challenges you've got to overcome, and what advice would you give to other businesses?
Yeah, and I think this is where we've been stuck with the traditional markets, because obviously Amazon, with yourselves and another company, they offer the VAT registration, the tax, which has made it so easy to expand into Europe. US is quite simple because it's almost an open border almost. Australia, we've just signed up and we've just done the tax compliance there. We've got the registration number. But to go into Asia and the Middle East, that's challenging because, to be honest, I don't know what we need to do. And it's always the last thought, the tax compliance. You get the registration done and then you need to go, and then it's like, what do I need to do? And yeah, I guess finding a partner to tell us that would be really helpful.
I think there's plenty of opportunity there as well.
Yeah.
Great, well done.
Fantastic. Well, Lewis, once again, thank you very much for joining us today. I really enjoyed the conversation. I've got one more question, if you'll humour me, and I think what everyone is desperate in the room to know, what's the score going to be tomorrow?
Yeah, I think it's going to be 2-2, and I think we're going to go to penalties, and then it's a coin toss who's going to win. Yeah.
Thank you.